Good morning. I hope you're all well and happy. This morning I'm going to make a very quick masterboard which I'm going to cut up to make some belly bands and some tuck spots or corner pockets. So I thought I'd bring you along for the ride. So I've got two old book pages which I don't want to use for anything else. So that's going to form the base of my masterboard. So I am just quickly going to glue those together. So this is going to be the size of my masterboard, which I'll then chop up. I have lots of scraps. Well, not lots compared to most of you, I'm sure, but lots for me. So I'm just going to pick out some random pieces. There's lots of music paper in here. And what I'm looking for are different textures, if possible. This is a nice handmade piece of paper that was used to make a Christmas card. So there's the stars on top and the trunk of the tree, and then it had trees stuck on there. So, that's a piece of a digital. So I'm just looking for preferably neutral colours, but I do want a bit of colour in there. And also, as I say, different textures. Nice piece of paper there. Gosh, I've got lots of music paper. That's quite nice. Just an old brown envelope there. Tea dyed paper. Oh, that's a tea bag. Don't think I'll be using that today. Some green hand dyed paper. I have to use a piece of that. I'll keep that out, but it might be a bit too bold, I think, for. Oh my goodness, I can't believe I've got so much. Okay. Quite nice. Nice texture on that piece. So apart from the scraps, the other thing that I will be needing is a few more book pages. I think that will do for now for the scraps. A little bit of stencil in there, I'll take that. So I've picked out a couple of book pages that I don't want to use for something else, and also some other scraps. This has got a nice texture, this paper, so that's why I've picked it. And this is a piece of a digital that I printed off and haven't used, so I might use some of that as well. Right, the glue that I'm using is just this Hobbycraft tacky glue. I find that sticks well, better than a glue stick for me anyway. So I'm just going to start sticking on pieces. I'd like to have torn edges, so just tear them anyhow you like. Try and glue close to the edge, otherwise you'll get the ends kicking up at a later date, and we don't want that. So I'm just going to carry on layering this up with different shades, different textures, different fonts, different like from different book pages. And if you have any old digitals that you haven't used, they always make a good addition, and it's a good use of your scraps. And it looks very effective when it's finished, as you'll see. I'll show you right at the end. I'm going to do a bit more off camera, and then I'll come back and show you where I'm at. So I'm fairly happy with this now. I've just continued to add scrap pieces all over the sheet. I've done it fairly randomly, but I have avoided putting two that are the same close together, and tried to space any that are the same to make a balanced sheet. For example, this here that has the black script writing, I've put a piece here, a piece over here, a piece up here, and a piece here. It gives a nice balance overall to the sheet. This piece here that has very pale pink and gold, I have a piece here, and a piece here. Really doesn't matter with this sheet because I am going to be chopping it up anyway, but if I was leaving it as a large piece for a journal page or maybe even a book cover, then it's quite important to try and get the pieces balanced on the page. So as you can see, I've kept it fairly neutral. To that, I want to add some other pieces. I don't want a focal point as such because I am chopping it up, but I just wanted a little bit more interest. So I've got this pot of small pieces. I have already sorted through and picked some pieces out. I've kept the edges torn as much as I can, so most of the pieces have torn edges. And then in here I have some squares which I'd cut for another project, and I've picked them out and inked the edges. And what I plan to do is use them on here, and I'm thinking because they've got a nice straight cut edge and I've inked the edge, I'm thinking they're going to pop out a bit on the page, but still, as I say, not a focal point. It will still be just more of a background paper, but I thought they'd look quite nice on there. Just wanted to point out this piece here. I live currently in a house that was built in 1946, and we took out a built-in cupboard. There was a cupboard built in the lounge, and I removed that, and behind it was this wallpaper that looked very old and vintagey. So I managed to save a few bits and hoard them in with my scraps. Right, the squares. So I've picked out a few bits, and I thought I would just put them on here. There's lots of green ones, so I need to make sure that I space them so that I don't get a whole load of green ones. But what I'm looking for are spaces where there's nothing much happening, like here, here, and I've just put a square on those spaces, trying to avoid putting two green ones close together. But again, it really doesn't matter because it's being cut up, so they're not going to be on the same, even on the same piece, I don't think. So I'm just placing them randomly around the sheet, trying not to cover up any points of interest that are already there. Not that there's much. As I say, I've kept it fairly neutral. So I think that's nearly enough. It's too close to that one. One there. Big cluster there. You're probably shouting out at me at a place that I've missed where I need to put one, but I can't see it at the moment. So I'm going to glue these on roughly where they are. I might swap a few round. So I'll do that off camera and I'll just glue those in place and then I'll come back and show you what I've done. Okay, so here's my finished sheet. I'm very happy with this. One thing I will say is when you're making these, you need to keep in mind what you're making them for. I'm usually making them as a background for something. So I always want to avoid putting anything that will take too much attention because I know that I'm going to add something in the next stage that is going to be the focal point. So I need to avoid the temptation of adding something that will be a focal point before it's finished. So I'm looking at this and thinking it needs something else. Well, obviously it does because it is only a background, but I am happy with it. I've trimmed the edges to make it an even sheet. And then I will use this to make something with a corner pocket or belly band is what I had in mind. But now I'm looking at it thinking maybe it will be the background for a journal cover or something like that. So for example, let me try and show you. So if I cut a strip, I might make it into a belly band and then add something as a focal point on that thin strip, and this makes a lovely background. I might add a butterfly or make it into a journaling card, and whatever you put on there, the colours will pick out from the background the similar colours. I'm cheating a little bit and let me just try this one. So I might make a corner pocket or something using an image like this. Yeah, I'm cheating a little bit when I use flower fairies because I always think they make everything look beautiful. But I might choose to make it into, say, a journal cover with a flower fairy image. And you see, if you place a flower fairy on there, it picks out the similar colours from the background. So here's a different one. And you can see here we've got a bit of blue and green in the background, and it picks out the blues and greens from the collage background. There's another one. As I say, it's cheating a little bit because flower fairies do make everything look gorgeous. Here you can see here the greens. It picks out the greens in the background. I think that would make a lovely journal cover with this stitched around the edge. Anyway, I'll do something with the sheet and come back and show you. So for this sheet, I've just, as you've seen, just on one side because I'm going to stick it onto something. But if I was making journal cards with it, I would add something to the background. I'd either use a sheet of scrapbook paper that's nice to look at, or I would collage the back as well. But in this case, I only needed the one side collaged. Anyway, I'll go and do something with this and come back and show you. Thank you for watching. So I finished chopping up my masterboard and I've ended up with everything I wanted and more. I'm really pleased with it. So I've got my two belly bands here. I have a couple of pockets, one here and one here. And as you can see, I've added to each of these pieces, I've added a focal point. I made a little pocket here on this tag. I have a corner tuck there, little corner pocket, and I had to do a journal cover, so I made this little bit here to save to put on the journal. So I'm really happy with all of those pieces, and you can see in there some of the bits that you saw me stick down. For example, the wallpaper that I found behind the cupboard, there's a piece there, it's up here as well, and behind this butterfly. So it just shows you that you can find pieces that are really useful and really effective, and you can find them anywhere. Like just behind a cupboard that we were ripping out. Such a lucky find. Anyway, I'll show you all these pieces individually. So you see all of this beauty literally from some old scraps. I hope this video has inspired you to sort through your scrap box and see what you can make. You may see some of these bits cropping up in some of my journals at a later date. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you again soon.